We're back, and the weather's the same. It's like we've never left. And after this cool shot of air that's come in, it's going out. We're headed for record high temperatures possible on Halloween, which is Thursday. And if it doesn't rain until after midnight Thursday night, New York City will have its driest month ever. And the first month on record where no measurable rain. They had a trace, and that's it. And by the way, they're not alone. There are other cities in the East too that are going to be setting all-time dry record months, and certainly dry for the month of October. So we'll run it all down tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And if you'd like to support us, there's a link pinned to the top of the chat board and on the descriptor to this video. It's our referral link to Amazon. So if you shop on Amazon, which you may be doing with the Christmas holidays. I think it's 58 shopping days left until Christmas, Joe. So use the link, do your shopping, and Amazon will throw us back a little bit of coin at their expense. And we appreciate your support of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. So here we are, the boys of the chorus.
Nothing has changed.
No, I this is one unrelenting East Coast ridge. I mean, we've basically been in this ridge position since the second week of September. Oddly, by the way, I was reading that. So one of those cities that I'm talking about is Baltimore. Okay, and Baltimore is on track to have one of its driest October ever. But what struck me was the fact that their temperature average for the month is actually running a degree and a half below normal. I don't know
Really?
what, yeah, I'm not sure if that's, well, I can tell you this. I mean, certainly here, uh, this month, it has been rather cool. It's not like the temperature's up. I think it's one of these situations where the further south you go, the cooler the air is. The upside, bit of an upside down situation. Because I'll have to look at the numbers here locally, but it's probably been close to average, I would say.
Well, maybe it's because we had a number of unseasonably chilly nights.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
During
I think that's a big part of it. Um, and there's been big differences between the New York City lows with the heat island effect kind of in full force, and you could just go outside. I mean, it was in the 20s in a lot of the Pine Barrens this morning.
well, Halloween is on Thursday, and the record, I can't believe it's this low, but the record for the Hudson Valley at Westchester County Airport is only a paltry 72. And
Oh,
Joe, I know about
that's
I,
gone.
that's gone.
That's
That's
gone.
gone. And in fact, we may even, with a bit of a push on a southwest or west southwest wind, we could hit 80 again on
Yeah.
Thursday.
We're at this point, in the fall, if you're going to break the all-time record high temperatures for the month, you have to do it at the beginning of the month. You're not going to do it at the end.
Except this month.
No, no, no. You could break the record for the day, but you're not going to break the all-time record high for the whole month of
Oh
October.
no, no.
Yeah, those have to occur early on in the month.
Agreed.
The same will go for November and in I would say maybe even December. I'd have to look though. But no matter. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And for those of you watching in the background, we've been off for the last 4 days because the weather's just been a snooze fest. But we're glad you're here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. Our regular schedule is Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday if we ever get a storm again. We might just pop on. But just want to pass on, and I already put it up on the chat board earlier, but in case you miss it, there are going to be some additional schedule changes this week. So there's a show tomorrow. There's no show on Wednesday, okay? And Thursday is probable, but not 100% guaranteed. And then after that, we're going to be off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because I'm traveling to I'm traveling to Maryland to my daughter's wedding this weekend. So Sunday is going to be my drive day back. So after if we have a show on Thursday, the next one after that will be next Monday, and then we'll probably get to some state of normalcy. I don't see anything. Maybe we get a couple of showers Friday morning with this next cold front that goes by, and we might wind up with a whole tenth of an inch at most. And after that, I mean, it's conceivable that we could go, except for that cold front, another 16 days.
You know, you may be right. And in fact, I'm actually mentioning tomorrow a possibility of
Yeah,
either a light shower or a sprinkle or two.
right, because you
And that,
got
I
that
guess, would
warm
be
front, the warm
with the
front
warm
going
front.
by.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. I also put it in my forecast this morning for tomorrow. So, meanwhile, here in North Georgia, we are at peak foliage. It's just absolutely beautiful here in the North Georgia mountains. Uh, was down, I think, upper 40s. Was it upper 40s this morning? And the high today, I believe, was 69, which was quite comfortable. Got to walk around with a sweatshirt during the day. It really, really does feel good. So, shall we begin?
Yes, there really isn't much to talk about, but whatever there is, we will talk about it now.
Well, we actually do have a little bit of winter weather going on in the U.S., and that's in the Rockies, where we've got winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up for much of western and central Wyoming, also in western Colorado, and back down through northeast through central Utah, up and down the state, and even a county in southwest Nevada. So a little bit of that's where the trough is, folks. You got the trough in the west and the ridge in the east. So all the chilly air is out west. All the very warm air and the warmer and drier air, soon to be very warm, is in the eastern part of the United States. We do have a few areas that continue to caution about the potential for some wildfires. I understand that there have been a couple up your way,
Well, a couple of what?
wildfires.
Oh, you know, it's true. We have had some brush fires here and there around the region, New Jersey, most notably. Um, but when people, I know we have people all across the country who watch us. Let's stress here that the wildfires that we talk about here in the Northeast are nothing to compare with the wildfires they have, let's say, in California, where
Right.
they could be like thousands of acres on fire. We're talking about places in New Jersey or Connecticut where maybe a few hundred acres at most would be seared or burned, but it's nothing like what they have out of the western. But still, it's been very dry, rather breezy, and that is conducive to setting off fires in and around the area.
Yep. Um, Up and down the eastern seaboard, things are very quiet. The GO satellite, for some reason, is down. Um, Checked a little while ago, but the radars are up and running, of course, and there's nothing going on from Maine to Florida except in southeast Florida, maybe a little light shower there. Uh, from Miami, maybe just north of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, up the coast a bit. But it's minimal here, and we've got some showers offshore. And then you see the precipitation that's patchy and in some cases popcorny in parts of the West, in Northern California and Nevada, up into Washington and Oregon. A little more patchy in Idaho, Northeast Nevada, Northwest Utah, Western Wyoming, into South Central Montana. Some of that, of course, is in the form of some snow, and we've got some light moisture moving into South Dakota. Storm Prediction Center doesn't have much going on tonight. It just has a couple of areas of potential general thunderstorm activity in Utah, western Colorado, and Wyoming, and also in Michigan, eastern Wisconsin, and in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as well. Now, there is some severe weather action for tomorrow, a marginal risk for isolated severe thunderstorms from western Oklahoma northward into central Kansas, eastern Nebraska, northwest Iowa, eastern South Dakota, and southern and central Minnesota, and northwestern Wisconsin. And then on day three, and this is Wednesday into Thursday, we have a marginal to slight risk from central Texas northward all the way up to Wisconsin, the slight risk from north central Texas through much of Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, western Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, southwestern Iowa, and southeastern Nebraska. And as far as rainfall is concerned, that's where all the rain's going to be in the next 7 days. Large area of several inches plus from central Texas northeastward up through the middle and upper Mississippi Valley to the western lakes, and also in the Pacific Northwest from northern California northward into northwestern Washington. We've got half to three-quarter inch liquid amounts for Wyoming and Colorado. And Joe, here's the snow forecast on the digital forecast, which takes us through Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. And all of the snow in Colorado is west of Denver, but some of the higher elevations could get up to a foot and a half or more there. Also in parts of northeastern Utah, where we've got an 18-inch print in a spot, and in western Wyoming, we're looking at several areas of a foot or more. Much of the state's going to get snow, not all of it out of this, and also starting to see some patchy areas of heavy snow into southern Montana, as well as back into Idaho. Also in the Cascades, some heavy snows there being indicated, up to a foot plus or 2 foot, 2 feet plus being indicated in that particular area. So it's you know, typically in most years the first snows of the season happen in the western part of the United States, but even this area too has been a bit behind because we're at the end of the month here. This is really the first, if you want to call it a widespread snowfall. This is the first. This seems to be the first one.
So winter in the west, summertime here in the east. And as you pointed out, Joe, I mean, tomorrow the warm front moves through, so temperatures are not going to be overly mild, probably close to normal. But we get to Wednesday, well into the 70s, and again, maybe touching 80 degrees, if not Wednesday, then Thursday on a west southwesterly flow. So, what more can I tell you, folks? It's going to be, and even Friday, we have a weather front that's coming through first thing in the morning on Friday. You mentioned, Joe, the possibility of a shower or maybe a tenth of an inch or something along those lines, something like
Yeah,
that. Behind that front, still rather mild. I could see temperatures again on Friday getting to or around 70, and then the big drop in temperature over the weekend with temps in the 50s on Saturday. And when we get to Saturday night late or Sunday morning, we might be talking about temperatures close to freezing. We'll have temperatures down, well down in the 30s in many locations in the Hudson Valley come Sunday. So there you go, up and down. We go from 70s and 80s Wednesdays and Thursdays to maybe down near freezing by the time we get to Sunday morning.
I got the high temperature map for Thursday from the digital forecast, and they've got 80 degrees at White Plains, 77 for LaGuardia. So you figure 80-ish for New York City, Trenton, Philadelphia 81, uh, Wilmington 81 in Delaware, low 80s in interior South Jersey, low 80s in southeast and south central Pennsylvania. And then you go a little further south, it's actually the numbers are lower. It's more upper 70s to around 80 in the Washington D.C. Baltimore area, low 80s in eastern Virginia and eastern North Carolina. Gets warm, low to mid 80s as you adventure down into South Carolina and southern Georgia. Atlanta 79 is the forecast high for Thursday. Blairsville is 70, where I am, right near the Carolina state line, is 73 for a high. 73 for Asheville, but you look across Tennessee, it's upper 70s and low 80s. You look across southern Alabama, back into Mississippi, it's mostly low and middle 80s. So definitely warm in the east, and you can contrast that to the colder weather in the west, especially in the areas where they're going to see some snow. We're looking at temperatures, the high temperature and the temperatures when it's snowing are two different animals. So, we're looking at high temperatures that are in the 30s and low 40s. But again, depending on elevation, I don't know where that 10 is for a high in Wyoming, but it must be on some mountaintop. But when you look at the min temperatures for Thursday morning across Wyoming. It's a lot of teens to near 20, and teens even getting down further south into parts of Colorado and Utah. So it's a pretty decent push of colder air that's coming into the western part of the United States. Now, as far as the upper pattern is concerned going forward, there is apparently there is now a semi-permanent ridge in the eastern part of the United States. Now it flexes, so at times it gets really strong, at times it gets flattened out. We This weekend it got flattened out, but the trough moves out. You can see the deep trough coming down into the west, which means the ridge in the east pops up strongly. This week, big cutoff high in Virginia and North Carolina. Then it kind of flattens out as another trough comes through, and this brings the cold front for Thursday. More troughiness, deep trough in the west, so the ridge pops right back up in the east early next week and gets strong again. There's probably going to be some kind of tropical system coming out of the Caribbean at that point, but I don't see it being a threat to the U.S. mainland from what I'm looking at right now. Uh, then, as we go forward through next week, the ridge kind of flattens. Eventually, you get a trough into the eastern part of the United States at the end of next week, only to see that lift out, and another deep trough drops down into the west, and another big ridge pops up in the east in the long range. And the last day on this sequence I just showed you is November 13th. So it is conceivable that except for whatever happens late Thursday night and Friday morning, that we are not going to see anything as far as precipitation, possibly through at least November the 10th. If you want to believe the guidance, it might go longer than that. So I don't know what it's going to take to break this ridge down. I really don't.
Well, first of all, Cecilia Hernandez on the chat board asking me if I believe that what we're going through now, this month of October, is attributable to climate change. Well, Cecilia, actually, if you look back in the long term records, we find that now, obviously, nothing like what we are having this month, where there may not be anything more than a hundredth of an inch of rainfall before this is all over said and done in Central Park. But I mean, some very dry months, very dry Octobers, 0.14 inch in 1963 in the month of October, 0.28, which is a little over a quarter of an inch for the entire month of October. Still very, very dry. 1924 October. Could we possibly say that that was attributable to climate change or global? I think not. It just so happens that we were in kind of a pattern, an unusual pattern, which comes along every once in a while, where, as Joe mentioned, we've got this huge ridge of high pressure staving off any kind of adverse weather or any kind of precipitation producing weather systems to make it so very, very dry. And again, this happens every so often. Again, the last time we saw anything like this was about 60 plus years ago, but still, I don't think we can attribute it so much to climate change or global warming in this particular case. It's just something that happens periodically from time to time and place. Look at June 1949, 2/100ths of an
Right.
inch in that month.
It's
You know,
also it's also, Joe, the tendency for most people to circle around their own universe and think that everything kind of it only just happens here. I mean, remember, while this is going on, we've got activity that is happening in the west with cold and some snow and rain, and you can see the storm system coming out of Colorado and moving up to the western lakes, and then the cold front that we're going to push through here during uh, Friday night into I'm sorry, Friday morning into early afternoon, and then that goes out, and there's all this energy in the western part of the United States. So, at least somebody's getting some precipitation somewhere. October across much of the country is normally a dry, quiet month, and that part of it is certainly, that's normal climatology. I would just say the answer about whether it's climate change or not on a grand scale is, and I think you're correct when you say that, it's a little bit it's a little bit on the edge here with what we've been going with what we're going through, uh, as far as this long period of dry weather. Um, come back and talk to me about it in 10 years if we have something like this happening on a regular basis, and then you could say, okay, well maybe it's more than just a one-off or a two-off. But to have 1 year focusing on one set of weather events over over a incredibly short period of time, uh, I would not. You can't really say specifically that this is being caused by climate change,
How about
in my
October of
opinion.
2011? How about October 2011, where right here in Putnam Valley, on this day in 2011, it was a Saturday, we had 14 inches of snow.
All
What
right.
do you, what would we attribute that to? You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, you could go on, we could go on like this forever. Of course, apparently I never saw this until today, but there was an article on the CBS News website about a week ago about whether hurricane activity was going to be increasing for Chicago.
well,
For Chicago, Joe, for Chicago.
okay,
But
all
that's
right.
the headline. The headline, I'm paraphrasing the headline. The headline says, are hurricane, are hurricanes uh, destined for Chicago in the future? I mean, the way it was worded, it sounded like, okay, suddenly Chicago becomes a Gulf Coast city, and they're going to get Category 5 hurricanes coming into Chicago. When you read the article, they talk about the remnants of tropical systems that have brought heavy rains to the Midwest. Okay, that's a little different than saying, that's different than saying, are hurricanes coming to Chicago? Okay, that's what the headline implied. So I just shook my head when I saw that, because it's just, let's make sure we write the headline to get some sort of sensationalist clickbait.
Sometimes you have to take these news, mainstream media sources with a grain of salt. Last week in the New York Post, a fine journalistic, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. Anyway, in the New York Post a week ago, they were proclaiming that there was going to be a dazzling, naked eye, visible in the daytime, Joe. Today, October 28th, saying this comet was a sun grazing comet. It's going to come so close to the sun, it's going to get so very bright. And here we are a week later, and you know what happened? The comet on the way to the sun into the solar corona completely shriveled up. The basically the tremendous heat and gravitational or tidal forces just caused that comet to just evaporate. It is no more. But what happened? Last week I read in the newspaper, in one particular tabloid, that it was going to be so bright it's going to be visible during the day, and nothing happened. So sometimes you have to be careful, and you have to look back and check the source to make sure that the source is a reliable one. But anyway, Chicago. The only way Chicago could get a hurricane, there is a way that you can get that if you have, let's say, a Cat 5 hurricane hit the Gulf Coast, and then suddenly it got caught up in upper level jet stream winds, and at tremendous forward speed, like
Right.
30
Yeah.
miles an hour, going straight north, so that by the time it got to the latitude of Chicago, it would still be
And
categorized, qualifies for a hurricane,
right, or
not a Cat
undergo some
5.
sort of, undergo some sort of extratropical transformation where you use like a hazel-esque,
Yes. Yeah.
which basically went from Charleston to Toronto. So yeah, but that's nothing new. Okay, there's nothing new there. Okay, these things have happened before. By the way, just real quick, no, actually not real quick. You can take your time if you want. Do we have any celestial things going on this week? Is Venus's orbit going to change so that we could get a better view of it? You know, is the axis of was it Uranus that's on the axis that was like at 97 degrees or something?
No,
Or is that?
nothing of any. Nothing of
Or
any significance that I know of is going to happen
okay,
this week.
so
So
nothing's okay. So there's no there's no solar storms, there's no supernovas, there's no
no.
Okay, just checking. I thought because
All right.
our audience loves these things, so we like to bring up the state of the celestial, as we could call it.
Yes.
So let's
Nothing.
do a little
Nothing.
let's do a little Thriller Jeopardy.
So
Are
who
you?
has it this week?
I
Or
have it. I have it.
you have it?
And of course,
Okay.
as we approach election day, no better subject than to talk about the category of presidential trivia. Okay, so there are four state capitals, Joe. Um, let's see if the chat board can get this. There are four state capitals that are named after presidents. Can you name them?
So I shouldn't say anything. I
You
won't
know,
say anything.
well, let's see. Vincent Croce gets one. Lincoln, Nebraska. That is correct. I don't remember a President Peer, Christinapedia. Jackson, Mississippi, from Cecilia Hernandez. That is correct.
Right.
Yes. So that's two. So there's two more. Okay. Two more, folks. Oh, Rich Rothmansky got the one that's probably good. Most people wouldn't get. Jefferson City, Missouri. Jefferson City, Missouri, that state capital. And now there is one left. One left. Maggie P gets that one. Madison, Wisconsin. That is correct. Very good.
That's pretty good.
That went
Yeah.
fairly quick. Now, at least through today, only one president was elected to two non-consecutive terms. Two non-consecutive terms. Only one president has done that. Can you name that particular president?
Let me ask a question. Is the first name the same as a famous frog?
Um, it does have a Sesame Street collection, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Well, Frank R got the last name, Mr. Cleveland, and Rich Rothmansky puts the first name to it. No, not Kermit Cleveland, Frank
Hermit
Scalera.
Cleveland.
Right, no. Grover
No,
Cleveland.
Grover.
Grover.
Grover was not the frog. I'm sorry.
He
There's a
was
Grover.
president.
American
He,
Sesame Street called it's Grover.
he
Yeah.
was president number 22 and number 24. Um, three presidents, three presidents have died on the 4th of July. Three presidents, Joe, have died on the 4th of July.
Okay. I think I know one of them.
Well, I'll let you have that one. So go ahead.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson died on the 4th of July.
Right.
Correct. There were two others. Um, Keith's Corner, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington on the same year, but we're talking about presidents that have died on the 4th of July. Frank R., Adams, Madison, and Jefferson. He got all three. Give Frank R. a bell ring because he got all three. John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Yes, all died on the 4th of July. There are six presidents, okay? Six presidents that whose first name is James. First name James.
Okay. Well, probably the one that's most recent and is still alive at the age of 1 century, 100, is James Carter, Jimmy Carter, right?
Right. Cecilia Hernandez, that's correct. Yes, Joe, correct. Northern Grace, James Madison, correct. Rich Rothmansky, James Monroe, correct. Chuck Card, All Star TEDx, James Kirk. No, we did not have a President Kirk. Nor has Star Trek captains become run for president that I know of. James Monroe, Christinapedia, correct. So now we've got two two more, actually three more. So we've got three. James Polk, very good. Keith's Corner. That is the fourth. So there's two left now. Two left. Careful, Vincent Croce. Northern Grace, correct. James Garfield. And there's one more. Yes, Mitch Rothmansky gets it. James Buchanan. James Buchanan.
Did he have a brother named Edgar?
Edgar, yes, I was going down that road too. I think you should give the chat board as a whole a big bell ring
Yeah.
because uh,
You want to
um,
answer? You want to answer?
no, I do not want to answer it. I'm not answering. Okay, have you ever been to Greece, Cecilia Hernandez, and seen what an icon actually looks like? Okay, all cracked and wrinkly, and well, we'll just leave it at that.
Move on, Joe. Let's
Yes,
move on.
exactly. Let's move on. No, I'm out of presidents. Oh God. Anyway, uh, I don't have much. Oh, I had a bear last night.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, JJ got very upset and he was barking like crazy. And then outside, I was on my deck and I could hear rustling in the bushes, but I couldn't see anything. So when I came out this morning, my garbage pail was turned upside down. My bag of garbage, the bear took the bag out of the garbage pail, dragged it to behind the shed where he opened it, and then he proceeded. I came out, Joe. I found he sorted through the garbage, and he left like three neat piles of like all the cardboard was in one place, all the paper was in another place. I mean, it was just he must have had OCD or something because it was just really weird how he sorted it all out and put it all in piles. But yes, that was my bear experience. Apparently, he also went into my neighbor's garbage pail and threw it upside down, but there was nothing in it. So anyway, that's the most exciting thing that has happened here uh, at the Chaffee Cabin in Blairsville. So I guess on that note, we can say goodnight because there's not much else to talk about. I did check the tropics, folks. This pressures are still going to be low in the Caribbean, so it wouldn't be a shock if another tropical depression or tropical storm comes out of it. The Hurricane Center has that area highlighted in orange. They have it at 40%. They've had it at 40% since yesterday, and there's been no change in their particular forecast. Nothing's going to happen until very late this week or over the weekend if something does happen. A lot of the models have, most of them have not really been showing very much. The GFS has been the one that's been more aggressive with it, and in the last few runs, it's kind of backed off. So who knows if anything's going to come out of there? I wouldn't be shocked if something did, but even if it does, I don't really see it as a problem for the U.S. mainland anyway. So there you have it.
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
We'll see how the tropics progress in the next week or 10 days because I actually saw some websites and Facebook pages, Joe, with that system that had been brewing down over Central America. Comes up to near Florida, and some say, "Oh, Florida's going to get hit again," and "Oh, it's
Oh,
a twice."
the posting on social media with this has been out of control, absolutely out of control.
Yep.
It's been going on. The GFS has been showing something down there for the better part of the last 7 or 8 days. It started. They're going out with 300-hour plus maps and putting them up. It's terrible. It really is terrible. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Okay. You're right, Cecilia. They are ruining weather forecasting. They absolutely are. And they're actually Facebook apparently is going after some genuine weather people uh, who use weather service maps and telling them that they're infringing on copyrights. The AI picks up certain weather service maps, like the zooming surface map, for example. it picks it up as a copyright because it's a U.S. government map. Well, there's no problem here. But the AI is the algorithms are just like ruining it. People are getting all sorts of things saying that we're going to shut your website, we're going to shut your Facebook page down. Some of it may be scammy stuff too. So, but eh, anyway, that's why we're here on YouTube. And on that note, we'll be here on YouTube tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So everybody have a great evening. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
We'll be here. Nighty night.